Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Chakodash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us his truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful light. A shalom. A shalom, Akyam. I was taking some notes the other day, just going into this whole thing with the Texas prisons. Basically how they had made certain hemp products with THC legal, and then they made it extremely illegal. Okay, this year they made it so illegal, in fact, that for a regular amount you could go to jail for 20 years, and if you have a big amount, which of course there's potheads out there with the amount that they're saying, that amount, if you're caught with it, you could go to jail for life. Okay, you go to prison for life. Okay, so it's very draconian, man. But it led me to go into the topic of the prison industrial complex. And I want to grab that word before we go any further. See what the AI overview says on it. The AI overview says the prison industrial complex is a term used to describe the overlapping interest of government and private industry that use policing, surveillance, and imprisonment as solutions to socioeconomic and political problems rather than addressing the root cause of crime. Right. So it's basically just like, instead of fixing the root cause and, like for example, with the whole drug thing, man, that's a whole can of worms, but I guarantee you, if people didn't have to work crazy hours the way they do, and, the food wasn't so unhealthy, okay, very few people would do drugs, man. Okay, there's no purpose. A lot of people do them as a coping mechanism, because life sucks here in this living hell that we're in. Okay, especially for the Israelite, man. Okay, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. Okay, and our woman is also suffering, but she's more propped up. Okay, so that's important to note. Okay, but it's gotten so bad to where even these heathens are suffering. Okay, showing you this place is a dystopia. Okay, but what I wanted to go into was how the prison system is a for-profit system. Let's look this up. PIC is the acronym, Prison Industrial Complex. Does PIC go into how the prisons are a for-profit system? See what it says. The prison industrial complex functions by turning incarceration into a for-profit marketplace where private companies like Core Civic and Geo Group prioritize corporate revenue over public safety, right? It's not about putting bad people in prison. It's about making money. This system relies on bed guarantees, exploited labor, and political lobbying for stricter sentencing to maintain high occupancy rates and maximum profits. Detailed information is available through advocacy organizations focused on criminal justice reform. Okay, and that's pretty much it. And we're gonna go into this little slideshow that I made, while I was at the plantation, just real quick, because the spirit jumped on me and I just kept asking these questions and everything just came up, telling the truth. Okay, a lot of times, sometimes you got to fight with AI to get it to tell the truth, but if you ask it a certain way, it can't lie to you. So, getting right into it, man. We know that THC. So I told Google, I was saying, I know that it is illegal again, but I want to know when it was first allowed, right? So they allowed THC products in Texas June 10, 2019, right? And I said, when was it made illegal? And it was this year, 2026, July 31st, right? So, I asked for some graphs. I went, and looked for some graphs. And I want you to notice around 2019 here, this great big dip. Okay. And Salaki, I'm getting a little excited. What are these graphs? This is the prison population by year. Okay. So in 2019, the prison population in Texas, where this is all happening in Texas, by the way, with the THC being made extremely illegal. Okay. It dipped very, very much so, as you can see, right? So I also looked up the prison profits by year in Texas. Now keep in mind, this chart is only going to show you the stuff that's very basic. It's not going to go into the slave labor that these prisoners, being predominantly Jakes, have to go through in the field out there, working for what, $1 an hour, because they say the food is so bad that basically you're forced to work so you can actually afford better commissary, better food. Okay, so as you can see, just on paper, from 2014 it was $89 million a year, and it went down to $73 million in 2019. Okay, showing you that, okay, when this stuff was made legal, it fucked up their money, right? Yep. So now, continuing on, I said let's talk about livestock and crops. Does all the livestock and crops, and it's kind of cut off there because I only took a screenshot, but let's see what it says. It says, no, not everything goes into feeding prisoners. While the vast majority of the agricultural yield is used for direct internal consumption. Right, yeah, because I was asking it basically, okay, well, because they're out there working in farms, farm animals and crops, right? So they're making meat and they're making vegetables and fruits, right, out there, doing that slave labor. Okay, where does it all go? It says that it's to feed the prisoners, but when I dug further, I asked it, well, where does the leftovers go? And it gets sold. Okay, it gets sold. Let's see here. Yeah, look, and it says it right here. It says the majority of agriculture yield is used for direct internal consumption. A significant portion of prison-raised livestock, row crops, and specialized commodities is sold directly onto the open commercial market, right? So, hey, a lot of the food you buy at the grocery store came from prison labor, man. You see? Okay. Let's see what else. Yeah, that's pretty much it on that. So now I asked it. So the government makes profit, correct? What about lawmakers? Okay, do they make profit as well? Is something I believe is what I said. It says yes, the government captures the primary financial benefit from the sale of these goods. Right, because they sell it to the grocery store. So I was asking it, okay, so if they're selling it to grocery store, who gets the money? It says the government captures the primary financial benefit from the sale of these goods, but it behaves as a cost offsetting mechanism rather than a traditional cash profit. So it says that it acts like that, meaning it's supposed to save the government money because the taxpayers have to pay for these prison houses, right? But, they're not going to show you the books. They're not going to show you all the receipts. Okay, clearly they're making money off of it. All right, and that's why it says it acts like a cost offsetting mechanism, because it isn't always that way. Okay, it says individual lawmakers do not directly pocket cash or get a direct percentage cut from prison, agriculture, or industrial sales. However, the system is designed to provide substantial indirect political, budgetary, and corporate benefits that lawmakers leverage to maintain power. You see, so the people that write the laws, they benefit directly from these profits in these prisons, man. Okay, which is exactly why in Texas they made it so illegal that it's absurd, man. Because the prison houses were empty, they were losing profits, so they had to fill them prisons back up, man. That's why the note that I wrote on here, it says Texas prisons are hungry. Okay, the profit-making prison industrial complex is hungry over there. Okay, and why am I bringing all this out? To show you, that Esau, how off Esau is, man. Okay, this is the ruler of the earth. This is showing you, hey, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, man. What type of a demon makes money off of one of the most miserable things ever? Prison, being locked up, ruining people's lives for profit. Okay, and I'm not saying that there aren't certain people that need to be in jail. Certain people do need to be in jail because they're wicked as all hell. But okay, the incentive is to fill up them prisons. And as you can see, man, hey, having a little bit of herb, you know, even if you like, we know smoking is off, right? So none of you brothers out there don't be smoking no weed. But if you want to eat an edible or make a tea or a tincture, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you get caught in Texas, you're gonna serve a long time behind bars, man. All right, and the Lord made that plant for a reason, man. So this devil is literally gonna ruin your life over a plant that the Lord made, and they have the nerve to say that they have the moral high ground, man. This is murder. This is literally murder, man. To ruin a person's life like this, okay? And it's always these people, man. These Edomites, as the Elder Malcolm calls them, the pale faced, the pale bald faced man wielding pens. Because it's through the stroke of their pens that they ruin millions of lives, especially Jake. Murder through these wicked laws that they put into that they write into law, these wicked bills, man. All right, let's get that precept, man. They frame mischief, man. Real quick. This is Psalms 94:20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? Speaking about these Edomites, man, they frame mischief by law. Okay, they put it into law that they can make all this money off of these prisons, and you always follow the money. Okay, it's a whole web of corruption, man. This shit doesn't work. Okay, that's why we need new management. We always say we need new management on this earth. We need Yahushua, because the rulers that be, these Rothschilds and Rockefellers and all the minions under them that all work together, hey, this is how they run the earth, man. It's a monopoly game where, the health of the planet is being destroyed for this stupid game, and there's no real progress, man. We could have had free energy by now. We could have had peace on earth by now, but these people don't know anything but war. They don't know anything but deception. Okay? That's all they know how to do. It's like a brute beast. No thought or consideration for the future and others. Just a greedy, selfish, dog-eat-dog world. And it doesn't make sense, man, because, that's not the characteristics of a society that can grow and prosper and be wise. All right? But nevertheless, man, this is wicked what Esau is doing, but at the same time, we got to understand that this is our punishment that we're serving. We're here in captivity because we went off and we broke the covenant of Yahweh Shema Shai, man. Us Israelites, us so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, we are now serving captivity to this devil. And a lot of our people are serving behind bars, okay, which is another form of captivity. All right, let's get let's go into the scriptures. Let's start with Isaiah 42:22. It says, but this is a people, speaking about the Israelites, robbed and spoiled, right? We're being robbed and spoiled, okay? Brothers, Israelites are being robbed of their time and money, because when you go to these prison camps, you're working these long, grueling shifts for what? $1, $2 an hour to eat basic food. You see, it says, they are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses, showing you who our people are, man. This is prophecy. Why is it that those who fill up the prisons are predominantly Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, man? You are the main people making up them prisons, man, especially the tribe of Judah, because as we know, Judah being the head tribe, They want to keep Judah down, because if they could keep Judah down, they don't have to worry about the other tribes rousing up too much, because Judah's the leader. You see, that's why you got so-called black men being the overwhelming majority of these prison houses, man. Which are who? The Israelites, those of the tribe of Judah. Okay? It says, they are for a prey and none delivereth, for a spoil and none saith restore. Right? You know, our nation is still destroyed. The restoration is going to come later when Yahushua returns. We're not going to be restored carnally. We have zero power in our hands, man. Well, scratch that. We do have some power, and that's spiritual power. The knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of this Bible, that's spiritual power on a lower level. Okay, and eventually the Lord is going to give us these extreme powers, man. Okay, where we'll be able to defend ourselves in these last days when this devil comes down with great wrath. Okay, but just showing you that this is prophecy, man. Our enemies, these heathen nations, spoil us. Okay, the main culprit being Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. This is Deuteronomy 28:29. This is one of the curses, man. It says, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, right? We're oppressed and spoiled, hidden away in these prisons. Those of us that are outside the prisons, we're in an open air prison out here. Okay? Work, pay bills, go to bed, knee pain, back pain, try to spend all your time cooking in order to avoid these poisonous foods. Your woman yelling at you. This is hell, man. All right? Maybe you don't got a woman, you're burning, but you don't want to get bring a demon into your house. We're not prospering, man. This is not our rest, man. This is not our rest. Okay, but notice how our people are spoiled. That's part of the curses, because we went against the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai. All right, so that's part of the curses, man. Because if we go up, it says, verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Right? That being one of them, oppression, being robbed. Right? What's the other one? Slavery. Let's get that, man. Okay. Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies. Right? We're going to serve these Edomites, which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. Right? Just like out here, we got to go to Esau for everything. Hey, even more so behind bars, you got to go to him for commissary. And he's gonna squeeze every last bit of vitality out of you in order to give you, a pitiful meal. It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he has destroyed thee. Right? That's slavery, man. That yoke of iron going all the way back to the transatlantic slave trade. This is Deuteronomy 28:68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt, right? Which Egypt is code word for slavery, because what is Egypt? Egypt is the house of bondage. That's predominantly the story the scriptures goes into when it talks about Egypt, is how we were enslaved in Egypt, man. Okay? And you don't take ships to Egypt. So it's spiritual Egypt. It's talking about America. Right? So the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there, here in America, you shall be sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall save you, because, you could redeem a servant. But no, our people are perpetual slaves here, man. Okay, and even after the emancipation, looking at the prison industrial complex, who fills up the prisons? So-called African Americans for the most part, and then the rest, some sprinkling of the rest of the tribes as well. Okay, ain't a bunch of Edomites in there, man. Okay, now there are some Edomites showing you they don't care about their own people. All right, but it's majority Israelites in there, man. Okay, This is what we got to go through, man, because we sinned against our power. Okay. Let's continue on a little bit more here. What does it mean they use the prophet to maintain power? It says when political analysts say lawmakers use financial benefits of the prison system to maintain power, they are not talking about politicians collecting bags of cash. They're talking about political survival and system preservation. Right. So they're basically trying to say that they need this money, that they're not trying to take it and put it in their pocket. But we know that that's a goddamn lie. We know they're lying, right? Because everything, when it comes to these Edomites, especially the politicians and those in power, is more about they'll kill their own mama for money. All right. So let's read this. It says in politics, money is a tool used to win elections, right? And of course, there's a lot of money laundering and a lot of corruption going on, but it's not going to tell you in the AI overview. It says appease powerful voting blocks and keep special interest groups happy. You see that? Special interests. You see, so people, they have their hand in people's pockets in these special interest groups. The multi-million-dollar revenues generated by prison labor and the billions spent on the prison system as a whole are weaponized to keep incumbent politicians in office. Incumbent. Let's get that. Incumbent in the etymology. Incumbent. A person holding a church position. From medieval, holder of a church position. Obtain and possess. Let's see. Let's get a basic definition. Incumbent. Incumbent. The holder of an office. One that occupies a particular position or place. Okay. So it's just basically going into that. You know, so they weaponize the prophets to keep themselves in office. Right. Money laundering. Okay. Corruption. Greed. Capitalism. Right. Those are words that come to mind. So let's oh, and look at this. This has nothing to do with Texas, but it's talking about New York, which is still a good point because it tells you how much fucking money is being thrown in the garbage, for lack of a better word. You know, it's going into people's pockets, but it shows you, you know, this is inefficient, man. This money could go to something better. But look, prisons in New York cost taxpayers $2,440.40 a night. You see? Okay, that's more than the most expensive hotels. You can get a 5-star hotel and not pay anywhere near that. That's a lot of people's that's like double people's rent paid every single day to keep a person in a shitty box. So what's so special about this shitty ass box made of concrete with steel bars that you gotta pay all that goddamn money, man? You ain't even got that many officers working in the fucking prison, man. You see? It's a drain, man. It's a drain on the economy. It's a drain on the people. It's corruption, man. Doesn't work. Unprofitable, man. And also, it's this chart right here. It says America has the largest prison population in the world. Look at this. Countries with the largest number of prisoners per 100,000 of the national population as of June 2020. You see? Okay, terrible. You know, and that's why the scripture says that about America. I believe we might have already read it. Let's take a look. Nah, actually, we haven't read that one yet. All right, I want to grab that one. In Isaiah 14 and 17. And let's see here. Yeah, this is talking about Lucifer. Isaiah 14:12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, which Lucifer goes into light bearer, right? The illuminated ones. That's the Illuminati. These rich elite Edomites, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, so on and so forth. Okay, and it says, um, going into their God complex. And then it says, verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, right? When America is destroyed, it says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, right? So, once all this is said and done and the kingdom comes, okay, we know these rich elites are going into slavery. And when people see the Rothschild family, the Rockefeller family, chained up, doing slave labor in our kingdom, they're going to be looking at them and they're going to be saying this. It says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Right? They're dropping nuclear bombs in Hiroshima, right? Making the earth to tremble. They shook kingdoms, right? They fought all these wars. Okay? Verse 17, they made the world as a wilderness, right? They're destroying the earth. You got the data centers, you got all this war, all this pollution. It says, and destroyed the cities thereof, that open not the house of his prisoners. Right? America, right here, man. We see it right here, bro. Proof. All this stuff lines up with biblical prophecy, man. Okay? Because America is the headquarters of the beast system. The beast system is NATO and the EU, and America is the spearhead, the whore that rides on top of the beast. Okay, this is what these elites use. Okay, to fuck up the whole world. This country right here is what they use. Okay, so that's what that is, man. And I want to grab another precept. Let's go back now. Proverbs 28:16. It says, the prince that wanteth understanding, right? If you lack understanding, is also a great oppressor, right? This is oppression, right? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, thrives on oppression. He uses oppression to make money, okay? His happiness comes from other people's misery, okay? From the destruction of nature, the destruction of the earth and the people. It says, but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days. Covetousness, that's the key word, man. To covet something means to lust or to have a strong desire for something. Okay, greed. Okay, you want something that doesn't belong to you, something you don't need, right? Greed, capitalism. That's covetousness. This whole system is run off covetousness. And these people that rule this way, they have a lack of understanding, and that's why the Lord is going to cut their days short, right? Because they love covetousness. So the Lord is going to cut it short. Once these devils try to mandate the MOTB for buying and selling, Yahweh is going to send his son Yahushai very soon thereafter to annihilate this place, man. To come make war with the heathen, give them their punishment, and then to grab Esau by the neck and take him out of power, man. Okay? So their kingdom is going to be short-lived, man. Their empire is going to be short-lived. Okay? Because the next kingdom ruled by Jacob, let's get that. Second Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, right? Esau's rulership is the last rulership. And Jacob, right, the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American, Indians rulership, is the beginning of it that follows. So the next rulership after this one, our rulership, will stand forever. Which that's let's get that in Daniel's, man. Daniel's it may be in Daniel's. Let's see. Nah, it's Salakia. Shall not. I typed it in wrong. See. Daniel, it is Daniel. Daniel 2:44. it says, "And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people." Right, during the time of these kings, which is, the time we're in now. "But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." That's right. So once Esau goes down, we're gonna rule forever, man. Because we don't have that love of covetousness, man. Covetousness is a sin, and the Lord is gonna give us those new bodies so we will never sin again. We're not gonna be like Esau. We're not gonna have prison houses, man. Okay? Things are going to be done according to the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Shai. You're going to get your punishment in a relatively short period of time. You're not going to be sitting, rotting away in a prison so a bunch of stupid-ass companies can fill their pockets and politicians. Fuck that drain on the economy, man. We're not going to have that garbage, for lack of a better word. So, let's see. That made the world as a wilderness. Okay, Khan. So I want to grab a few more precepts. This is Sirach 13:18. It says, "What agreement is there between the hyena and a dog, and what peace between the rich and the poor?" Right? That's really the main enemies of you people at the bottom. See, a lot of you people don't think about it though. All right, a lot of our people are too busy, worshiping these celebrities and these people up there in power, not knowing that they feed off of your destruction, man. Okay, especially these elites and these businesses, all these CEOs, right? That's why you had that Luigi Mangione guy that put that Brian Thompson guy in the spirit world, send him straight to the spirit world, man, because he was killing people through the stroke of his pen. All right, and the Lord put a spirit of vengeance on that man to take him out. It says, "As the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor." And it's literally equivalent to getting eaten, man. It's murder. Okay, because you rob people enough, they don't have money to eat. They don't have money to survive. They can't live a reasonable life. Okay. You put people behind bars that are innocent, just because they broke your technical rule. Oh, you're not supposed to have so many grams of marijuana. That's not a sin in the Lord's book, but you're making it a sin through your legal system, man. Legality does not equal morality, man. Okay? You rich elites are going to learn very soon, man. You're going to learn the hard way, and it's going to be fun kicking your ass in the kingdom for all this wickedness, man. All those cries behind bars, the Lord hears it. The Lord hears his people, man. Not everybody behind bars is a criminal. The biggest criminals are the ones ruling the earth with the most amount of freedom. But it says, "As the proud hate humility, so doth the rich abhor the poor." Right? They hate our people because who's really the poor? In the scriptures, is talking about the Israelites. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. You're the main ones who are poor in this world, man. We got to live by faith because we don't have no assurance of our life. That's part of the curses. We got to work all these jobs, save as much money as possible. Car breaks down, this happens, that happens. You end up in jail because, you were at the wrong place at the wrong time. The prosecution team, they're trying to get paid too. That appointed lawyer was working with him behind the scenes to get you locked up. You see, all type of bullshit, man. All right. But with that, I want to finish here. Let's grab James 2 and verse 5. It says, "Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not the Most High chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith?" Right? The Israelites, we're the chosen people. Okay, and then the those of us who are of the hopeful elect, Lord's will we be of the elect. Hey, the elect is the one that's rich in faith and very poor, man. Because you got 2/3 of our people, some of them are making good money. Some of them are well off. They don't need faith, right? They get a little bit of a covering through Esau, but hey, those of us that are in this truth, we're raw dogging life on hard mode, you know, because we got to deal with the curses with Esau, and then on top of that, we're carrying the burden of, for lack of a better word, of being in this truth and fighting against the grain, doing everything the opposite of the way the whole world wants you to do it, being hated of all men for Yahweh Shai's sake. All right, and it takes great faith to do that, because we know we're going to get a reward in the kingdom, man. Okay, here we are telling you that these prisons are for profit, and you say that anywhere else, you're going to have a lot of people scoffing and talking shit, but it's the truth. Okay, and we proved it. Right here out of the so-called white man's mouth, he's telling you his system is corrupt. All right, and the scriptures here tell you that this man that rules the world is wicked and he's going to be destroyed, man. Okay, so it's time for Jake to really understand and smell the coffee, man. This whole system, it doesn't work. They talk about the deep state, this and that. They don't understand that this entire system is built on corruption. You can't just vote the right person in. You can't. Because to fix this system, everybody that's in power would have to be hung. Anybody that's up there in the elite, in the Epstein class, they all have to be taken down. And like that one woman said, well, if they take if everybody got prosecuted that's on the files, the government would collapse. Yeah, because this all corrupt, man. And all the people under them would have to be taken out of the government as well. It would have to be a new government, and that's what Yahweh Shai is coming to bring. That's what we look forward to. That's why we look forward to the destruction of this wicked ass place, man. We have no continuing city here, man. We can't even walk down the street without getting harassed by a fucking Karen, without getting profiled. You can't go to work without catching extra hell by these fucking Edomites. It's always Edomites in these managerial fucking spots, man. But anyway, I digress. It says, and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him, right? Hey, we're going to be heirs of the kingdom, man. Heirs of the kingdom. Yahweh Shai is going to be given this entire earth, the heathen. Everything is going to be his possession, and he's going to share it with his friends, the elect, man. With his brothers. Our big bro Yahweh Shai is going to take this man out of power and give us everything that this devil has worked for. It's all going to be translated to us. So, this whole system they created is in fucking vain, man. Yeah, these prison houses are hungry, but be wise, Jake. Agree with your adversary quickly, man. Be polite when a cop stops you. And just do what he says, within reason. Just show him your ID. Don't talk too much. Don't talk yourself into any trouble. All right, and then he's going to tell you, all right, have a nice day. That's it. Don't be arguing. Don't be acting crazy, man, because they want you to say the wrong thing. They want you to get violent. They want you to take the bait so they can make money off your misery. All right, every day you're making $2,444 rotting away in that cell for all these retarded Edomites, man. All right. And, hey, again, this whole place has to be destroyed because, this is not how you run a planet. Okay. But, that's all I wanted to go into today, Akim. Just go briefly into the prison industrial complex and how they make all this fucking money off of Jake's misery. This is like slavery 2.0. Our people got emancipated from that and then right back into an even worse slavery, going into a prison cell. Right? Well, I wouldn't say it's worse. Maybe it's comparable. It could be worse depending on the situation that you're in. Okay? Yeah, it probably could mean you're stuck in there, and then on top of that, the pay sucks. But nevertheless, man, y'all get the point, man. The point is basically you went from one slavery to another, Okay, and the Lord's coming back to destroy this devil, take him out of rulership. This is why the so-called white man needs to be taken out of the way. All right. So yeah, Akim, just stay in the faith, keep fighting, keep believing. We're almost out of here, man. There's a lot going on in prophecy. Okay, a lot more going on than we can even cover, man. So yeah, keep your head up. Hey, Yahushua is on the way. So with that, I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Chakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom wa, Abad, Babal, Shalom.